I'm Sebastian, and this is Mrs. Mann's class, and I'm reading When I Was Young in the Mountains by Cynthia Rylant. When I was young in the mountains, Grandfather came home in the evening, covered with black dust and coal lime. Only his lips were clean, and he used them to kiss on the top of my head. When I was young in the mountains, Grandfather spread the table with corn, bread, pinto beans, and fried okra. Later in the middle of the night, he walked through the grass to the Johnny house, and I held my hand in the dark. I promised never to eat more than one serving of okra again. When I was young in the mountains, we walked across the cow pasture and through the woods carrying our towels and swimming in a hole in the muddy, and sometimes we saw snakes. Well, we jumped right in anyway. Boing. On our way home, we stopped at Mr. Crawford's for a mount of white butter, and Miss Crawford looked alike and always smelled like milk. When I was young in the mountains, we pumped pails of water from the well at the bottom of the hill and heated the water to fill rounds of tin tubs for our baths. Afterward, we stood in front of the old back stove, shivering and giggling, while Grandfather heated cocoa on top. When I was young in the mountains, we went to church in the schoolhouse. On Sundays, sometimes we walked to the congregation through the cow pasture in the dark swimming hole for the baptisms. My cousin Peter was laid back into the water, and while his shirt stuck to him, my grandfather cried. When I was young in the mountains, we listened to frogs and sung at the dusk awoke. The cowbells outside our window sometimes, and black snake came in the yard, and my grandmother would threaten it with a hoe. I did not believe she'd use a hoe to kill it of one of our dropped very long snakes, dead of course, across our necks for a photograph. When I was young in the mountains, we sat on the porch, swing in the evenings, and Grandfather sharpened mine pencils with his hand pocket knife. Grandmother sometimes shelled the beans and sometimes braided my hair. The dogs lay around us, and the stars sparkled in the sky. A bob white whistled in the forest. Bob, bob, bob white. When I was young in the mountains, I never wanted to go to the ocean. And I never wanted to go to the desert. I never wanted to go anywhere else in the world, for I was in the mountains, and that is why I always, and that was always enough. This book is When I Was Young in the Mountains. And what I liked about the book is when she told me about she never wanted to go to the she never wanted to go anywhere else because she liked heights or something. And I like heights too because I like to look down. And this book went like this. She told us a whole bunch about. She told us a whole bunch about her. She told us a whole bunch about when she was young, like when her grandmother, like when her grandmother threatened the snake with a hoe, and whenever the snake tried to eat the chicken, she stabbed it like with the hoe. And also when her grandmother, sometimes in midnight, she took her to go to the bathroom. And also back then it was called something, and it was called something, but I don't remember what it was called. And then every evening, her grandfather was covered in coal mine because he was summer, getting dirty, and only his lips was clean, and so he used to kiss her on the top of the head. Bye.